Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a late night insight video on a Rogue fragrance, Rogue Perfumery, Manny Cross's house, which is a house I actually really rate, and I'm a big fan of his work, but not today. Today I basically am going to talk about my least favorite Rogue fragrance that I've ever come across, which is saying a lot because it's actually his take on oud, and it's called Oud Ancienne from 2022. So I'm going to reapply this just because it's late at night and I'll be scrubbing this off tomorrow morning anyway. So why the hell not? Let's do a fat reapplication from these stupid Lucky Scent dabbers. Somebody sent this to me, so whoever you are, thank you. We'll at least get to talk about a fragrance that otherwise I never would be able to without your generosity. So while we let this sit, and I actually have a dry down here, and I've worn this to bed one time before, so I do have some experience with it before talking about it today. I just wanted to verify what I thought I smelled the other day, and this is what I thought I smelled. But first, we're going to do a very quick unboxing because this is sent to me from a friend, a very generous gift, and the community is a beautiful place, and this is a fragrance that I came across thanks to a sample set that Rich Mitch sent me from Maitre Parfumé Agantier. And man, these old MPEG fragrances are absolutely beautiful. It's such a gorgeous house. And so let me show you what this one is. There's a couple of these that I really rate. And this one is called Iris Bleu Gris. Well, this is what it should be anyways. Let's make sure it is what it's supposed to be. Yes, it is. Iris Bleu Gris. There you have it. And this is actually in the vintage presentation, which you guys know, I am a vintage ram through and through. So I always go for the vintage presentation where I can. And there you have it. Iris Bleu Gris. Man, that's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous fragrance. And if you like fine French perfumery, I'll tell you what, the House of Maitre Parfumé Agantier, Jean Laporte in general, I think is a very underrated just figure in the fragrance history books. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about him. I'm going to try to do a Maitre Parfumé Agantier live stream where we talk about things like Iris Bleu Gris and just talk about kind of their whole lineup. Man, it's so good. Cannot wait to dive into this house further. So you'll definitely be seeing more of these on the channel. But yes, Iris Bleu Gris, very, very generous gift. Thank you very much. Okay, let's focus our attention on Rogue Perfumery's Oud Ancienne. Now, so why don't I read you the blurb first, and then we'll talk a little bit about sort of why I've been so truly disappointed with this, because I think that, for me, this is a perfect example of why it isn't as easy to work with oud as some people will make you believe. There's a very famous Dominique Ropion quote that says, oud is the easiest of ingredients to work with. That has not been my experience in sort of smelling some of these oud fragrances that have come out on the market by some big name perfumers who I really rate, to be honest with you. And I think, you know, what makes it so hard for me personally to do this review is that I really respect Manny Cross's work. So for example, just a couple fragrances that I have here at my disposal of his, which I really like. Bon Monsieur is a brilliant aromatic fougere. You know, if you can't get your hands on something like Gucci Nobile from the past or Van Cleef & Arpels Sar, and you want a proper example of that where you can just go buy it right now, Bon Monsieur is fantastic. Mousse Illumine, which I'll be discussing, very interesting take on oak moss. You can see the oak moss right there, the lichen, if you will. And this is so like barbershop-y, cloudy, fluffy mosses, but also very tart. You know, like there's some camphoraceous aspects to it. Chypre Siam, which I have famously, in one of my subscribers left a comment. She was very upset that I compared this to Coty Chypre, and you know what? I stand by that. I don't care. I'm not saying that Manny Cross is Francois Coty, but I am saying that You know, if you can't get your hands on Coty's original Chypre, which is very hard to find. I don't have a bottle, although I would love to have one. I don't have a bottle. This is a great alternative to me, to my nose. You know, there's real oak moss extract in here. You can see the color of the juice, and it's just a brilliant Chypre. Brilliant in my opinion. And Dervish is maybe my least favorite of my full bottles from him. It's a very Middle Eastern style. Again, heavy saffron, which we'll discuss in Oud Ancienne, but very heavy saffron, jasmine, very sweet in the opening. But the basically what happens is the sweetness as the hours go by kind of come like this, like an airplane going down, and it just gets better and better and better. But this is the one that if I had to get rid of one, it would probably be this one. And then of course Tabac Vert by Rogue is one of my favorite tobaccos. So yeah, unfortunately, I love his work, but this is a big no for me. This is a big no. And it's interesting because the name Oud Ancienne is interesting because ancienne basically means old, and you can almost hear the English word ancient in ancienne and in the French ancienne. It's like seeing like some statue in some uncarved piece of wood before the carving takes place. Like you can see it in your mind's eye, you know? There's a lot of things that can take the sniffer of a perfume to an ancient place. You could recreate the smell of libraries or old books or old cars or, you know, the lost city of Ubar, which Amouage famously did a fragrance on like a lost city long ago, which I reviewed on the channel. This does none of that for me. And in fact, if it weren't for the name kind of pushing that ancient theme, I never would have connected those dots ever. Now, I will tell you, let me give you the note listing and then I'll kind of tell you my take on this. So here's the note listing, and I never even read you the blurb. Let me read you the blurb. So here's the scoop, according to Lucky Scent. Oud's complex fragrance is a perfume on its own. I would agree with that. It can smell completely different depending on geography, distillation, age of the resinous material, and species of the tree, which is why introducing just one oud fragrance would not satisfy me as a perfumer. Oud Ancienne is the first in the series of 3 oud fragrances. I utilize Assam agarwood, oud from trees in the Assam area, specifically Aquilaria agalocha, to create an all-around oud profile as an introduction. It showcases the experience of a fine oud oil as well as imagine it would have been used thousands of years ago when oud chips were placed upon coals and the enigmatic scent would rise from the braziers. With Oud Ancienne, I wanted to highlight the powerful and unusual fragrance and not follow the hundreds of crowd-pleasing ambroxan-laden ouds on the market. I sought out unconventional materials and aroma chemicals and paired them with more familiar notes, giving Oud Ancienne my rogue signature by uncovering Assam Oud's animalic, earthy, and leathery facets. If only that were true. Castoreum and oak moss are the perfect ingredients to complement the distilled Assam oud oil. Labdanum supports the sweet resinous qualities. Blue cypress and amyris help build out the overall fragrance, and ylang ylang tones down the sharper notes and adds a hint of sultry floralcy. Oud Ancienne is a small batch artisanal oud with a story to tell that may challenge the wearer to describe and appreciate its unique qualities. Well, it definitely challenged me to appreciate it. The note listing is agarwood Assam, blue cypress, labdanum, castoreum, amyris, bitter almond, ylang ylang, and oak moss. Okay, so now you know kind of the backstory and the blurb from the brand. So here's kind of my take on it. To my nose, it starts off smelling slightly rubbery, ever so slightly smoky, but most of all, the very first thing I picked up on, and this is why I wanted to re-wear it before doing like a true, this is not really like a first impression, that's why I call it early impression, because this is the second time I've had a chance to wear this. It's almost like you're being attacked by an overdose of saffron, like a assault of the chemical aspects of saffron. And when I look at the note listing, I saw no saffron. I was shocked. I thought, surely there has been a mistake, because still, at this point, even knowing there's no note of saffron in there according to the brand, if you told me build a note listing, Ramsey, to your nose, saffron would be number 1. Saffron would be the most dominant note in this fragrance. And I did an entire This Is Not a Top 10 on saffron video. So if you would like to kind of explore saffron and how it acts, check that video out. But to me, the saffron here adds this very strange like vibrancy, you know? Um, it's like a wavelength. It's as if you're standing in the desert and something big is like a T-Rex is walking far away or something, and the sand is like shaking, and you can see the sand. The saffron gives off this high frequency kind of hum in this fragrance, and it's unpleasant. It's really unpleasant to me. Um, I don't like it when saffron smells as if it's used in such high concentrations as this, because it almost gives off this weird kind of almost bleach-like effect, you know? Like everything is bleached, and things that should be one color are almost like in reversed, you know? There's this opposite type effect going on. Like the moron who sewed the Raiders patch in my shirt backwards. Actually, the proper way is it's actually inside out. So whatever factory worker sewed this on did it wrong. That's kind of what saffron does to a fragrance when it's in extremely high dose concentrations. To me, that's what it smells like to me, anyways. It smells like it's bleached, and all the colors are all wrong, and there are some bits of spices in the top. There are little bits and pieces here and there. Maybe you could pick out little hints of the labdanum occasionally, but the saffron overdose just kills everything. It's like it sterilizes the fragrance, you know? That's a big problem for me. Now, in his write-up, he specifically mentions the animalic character of Assam Oud. My scent of the day today is Real Oud Feral from a brand that David Falsberg is the owner. He's actually going to come on. He's actually going to come on the channel Saturday, August the 24th, I believe it is. It's a week from today. So yeah, August 24th. And it's going to be at noon Central Standard Time. His brand is called Phoenicia. That's the name of this brand, Phoenicia. And he uses real Assam Bengali oud. And I was wearing this as my scent of the day today. And wearing Oud Ancienne to bed a couple times in a row, you sort of notice that it doesn't give you the true Indian oud experience, you know, that barnyard fermentation smell, which I reviewed Russian Adams, The History of Indian Oud, which if you really want to explore different types of oud, this is one of the best collections ever. You know, the history of Cambodian oud, the history of Chinese oud, on and on and on. Go watch my reviews on that. But the history of Indian oud is like a perfect representation of Assam oud, Assam Indian oud. And it doesn't come through in Oud Ancienne at all. Absolutely at all. That fermented quality, at least to my nose, it doesn't come through at all. Maybe in the first like 30 seconds or a minute, you could say it's a little bit more animalic than what it dries down to, but it is quickly overpowered by that feeling of just like a saffron neutron bomb going off and just sterilizing everything in the fragrance. Which should not happen to a fragrance that is supposed to be highlighted by Assam Oud. That's my 2 cents on it. Now, there's also a castoreum note, which you would go, White Knight, Saving Grace, castoreum. Ramsey loves castoreum. I always appreciate a good castoreum note. Here, it's used in this timid, weak, soft fashion that just does not do justice to the material. Again, my opinion, my 2 cents. I could say the same about the way the oud was used, to be honest with you. Very timid use of these materials. The castoreum adds maybe a very slight touch of leatheriness to the feel of the fragrance. So you get like this leathery saffron overdose is what it smells like to me. But overall, even something that usually resonates with me like castoreum just fails here because of how it's used. And notice how when discussing the oud in the opening, I said you get a very slight bit of rubberiness, you know, a very slight bit of smokiness. I didn't say much about that fermented barnyard feel because none of it really comes through to me. And a slight bit of leatheriness with the castoreum. The fragrance is just sort of meh, you know, it's like meh, to be honest with you. It's just very disappointing for so many reasons. The primary, though, is the way that the fragrance develops and shows so little of the soul of the fragrance. It's supposed to be an Assam oud fragrance, which is supposed to be barnyard and animalic and challenging, and you just get none of that to me. And some of the, you know, cursory notes that are supposed to maybe support some of that, like for example, blue cypress and oak moss, which he used oak moss so brilliantly in Chypre Siam, right? Look at the color of Oud Ancienne. I mean, it's almost clear. So there's no big dose of oak moss in here to my nose either. It's almost non-existent. It's you get off almost no greenery. Now, to be fair, blue cypress doesn't smell like regular cypress. It's said to be woody, fruity. Some say it can be smoky, resinous, balsamic, honey-like. It can have this feeling of lavender, patchouli, clove, star anise. I would say that it is supposed to have this fresh sort of evergreen Christmas tree like smell, but with like a medicinal tint. So imagine like cleansing the air through this wintry coldness. I get none of that here in Oud Ancienne, none of it. Maybe just the smallest, faintest shadow of that, but really none of it. So when I say this smells like a saffron bomb, I mean even into the dry down. The dry down just smells like, and again, I've got whatever this is, a 3 or 4 hour dry down here, and it just smells like a saffron bomb went off inside of like a musk factory, you know, like a generic white musk factory, where they make lotions and creams. You know, that's castoreum and oud, and this is the outcome. It's very, very disappointing to me. Very disappointing. And I have to be 100% honest with you. It's very hard for me to... I almost didn't want to do this review because I love Manny Cross so much, but the whole point of the channel is that to put out my honest thoughts on things, so I almost had to. I mean, it's almost a pure scrubber. The only reason I reapplied is because I know I'm going to bed and I'm taking a shower in the morning. So if you want a real oud fragrance properly executed with Indian oud, you could go with some of the ones that I showed previously. There's so many oud fragrances I've discussed on the channel. You know, but the fact that David Fallsberg is coming on the channel, I can recommend Real Oud Feral. This is what I've been wearing as my scent of the day, trying to get to know his work in depth since he'll be coming on the channel next week. Hope you guys can make that interview next Saturday. That would be cool. I love having good turnouts for the live streams. If you're watching this years from now, obviously, that it's a moot point. But, you know, if you want more of maybe like a mainstream recommendation, Towers La Oud. You know, even though he says he uses Laotian oud in here, I think this profile, I think the profile that Manny Cross was going for this is the profile that Andy Tower had the intestinal fortitude to use the ingredients properly. You know, this took some serious gusto to release, in my opinion. The castoreum, the way that the rubbery sort of oud is used in the beginning, This is Manny Cross needs to take notes on how to use oud. If he wanted a style like this is how I would envision it. That would fit my personality much better. I almost feel like with Oud Ancienne that Manny Cross got so caught up in using his sort of newfound soft, sensual French perfume style that he kind of mixed up. He got his streams crossed and tried to execute something in a Middle Eastern style and like a soft, you know, sensual French style, but for Middle Eastern perfumery, and it just doesn't work. You know, that's not the type of perfumery people expect whenever they're going after a Assam oud fragrance. And whenever he went to just sprinkle some saffron in, the whole top fell off, and he just dumped the whole saffron jar in. So he just wiped the ingredient from the note listing and said, "Oh, forget that. I'm not putting that in there." So it's a tough one to swallow for me. As I said, I love Manny Cross. You will see some more positive reviews to come with some of his other work. At some point, I need to get around to talking about the ones I really love. But since somebody sent me this, and I've been on an oud kick recently, I figured, what the hell? Plus, I know you guys love negative reviews, so maybe the most exciting part of this review is this. Having this in the collection is awesome. It's gonna take everything out of me not to wear this as my scent of the day tomorrow. I think I'm going to focus on wearing Phoenicia's fragrances, David Fallsberg's house, since he's coming on the channel. So, but man, I really want to wear this. So anyways, if you have experience with Oud Ancienne, I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, everybody. As always, it's a pleasure. Hope you guys can make the live stream next week. Cheers, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.